Hey everyone, and welcome to Vintage Guitar Legacies. Today we're featuring a 1966 Fender Jaguar. Let's do it! This 1966 Fender Jaguar is an exceptional vintage specimen. The Jaguar guitar was first introduced in 1962. It followed the Telecaster, the Stratocaster, and the Jazzmaster, intending to be Fender's top-line model. Blinged out with chrome and elaborate circuitry, its characteristics are very distinctive. These tall and narrow, high-output pickups, short scale length, and floating vibrato give it a signature sound embraced by the surf music scene of the mid-60s. When the British invasion hit, the Jag was relegated to a somewhat insignificant role until the explosion of punk in the 70s and grunge in the 90s embraced the model with great fervor. The Jaguar had the most elaborate circuitry of any Fender instrument, although it and the Jazzmaster were both dual circuit guitars, meaning lead and rhythm. The Jaguar's lead circuit was much more complex. The guitar features 3 slide switches on a chrome plate on the lower horn, 2 of which were on-off switches for each pickup. The third engaged a capacitor that served as a low-end filter, producing a more cutting treble tone, informally known as the strangle switch. The Jaguar's rhythm circuit consisted of a single slide switch on the upper horn that delivers a more bass-heavy, neck pickup-only sound, making this guitar incredibly versatile and amazingly unique. Today, we have blues guitar legend Mr. Chuck Hall demoing and discussing this epic vintage classic. Let's check it out.
All right,
Chuck Hall. Wow.
Sarah James.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Very cool little layer.
Little
I think you called
Casbah
it.
in here. Yes, I know.
Yes.
So, 66 Jaguar, Fender.
This is great. I love having these vintage Fenders in my hands. You know, I honestly am not that familiar with the Jaguar, and I'm really not familiar with one that has a wound G. This is cool. But there's something about these, the old ones.
It's
you
got
can just feel
certain vibe to it, doesn't it?
Well, I wonder if the wood, the fibers have coalesced in such a way that it puts out this energy. I don't know, something like that maybe.
Yeah. So that's what you pick up when you feel that. You
you
can almost just feel the music coming from it.
They reissue this stuff, and those are good. But you can always kind of spot the old ones for real.
Yeah. The 66 was the first year they put the binding strip on here and went to the block fret markers. Before that, between 62 and 66, I've read that's the big change on this one.
Well, I was 12 when they did that.
In 62 or 66?
No, 66.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
Yeah. What? I can't remember.
So, Chuck, you've had a lot of guitars come in and out of your hands, most of them Fenders. I know you worked for Fender at one point. We'll talk about that. But compared to the other Fender guitars that you've held or worked with or played, how does this compare?
Well, for me, it's almost, it has. It's been all Strats and Tellies with Fenders. And they have a longer scale length. The pickup system is a little bit simpler. This one's a little complicated at first. At least for me, you know. So this is a whole different animal. And if I remember correctly, Leo was kind of going for with the Jazzmaster and the Jaguars, they were supposed to be kind of like the premium model above the Stratocaster because the sails had fallen off and what have you. And so they have a little bit more sophisticated feel in some ways. Yeah.
Wasn't he kind of aiming against Gibson to try to compete with the Les Paul?
Particularly
with these,
the Jazzmaster.
Yeah, the Jazzmaster.
Yeah, particularly the Jazzmaster. And they both turned out to be surf and punk rock guitars.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, blinged out, too.
Yeah.
It's chrome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all over the
Chrome
place.
plated, metallic red. I don't know what they call this color. It's gorgeous.
Well, it used to be, that was actually candy apple red. But
That's it.
But the lacquer is yellow.
Yes.
Giving it this
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
You can see a little
bit right in there. Yeah, poking through
right there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we pulled out.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's just cool.
And the checking, it's got really nice checking on it.
Yeah, so it gives it that cool vibe.
Yeah.
So you were with Fender for how long?
I worked for them as a full-time employee, and then they had me go demo gear for about another 5 years.
Wow. Is it here?
Yeah.
In Arizona or California?
No, just down the street.
Wow.
Just down Pima.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very cool. Had a lot of great times, met a lot of great people.
And you mentioned we were playing this earlier. We're talking about Dick Dale.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm on my little demo stage at the NAMM show, and I don't remember there being any crowd at that moment, and I'm doing something through a G deck, and there's one guy clapping, right? I look up, it's Dick Dale. I'm going, oh my God.
Wow.
So we ended up hanging out a little bit. Great guy.
Really?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And man, he was like the original crank it up and blow the back wall out of the joint guy,
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Is he still with us? Do you know?
No, he's been gone a while.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Very cool. So your preference, your leanings, Stratocaster, Telecaster, Jaguar. What?
I can chart the
You can
progress
chart the
for you.
progress.
Yes.
Okay.
I got my first Strat in about 1975, and before that I played nothing but Gibsons. So this was it was actually a 64 Strat, so it had the old school radius, and those 60s, 63, 64 Strats, the necks were a little narrower. So it was like I had to sit down and relearn how to play guitar. But when I did, the tones and the expression that I was getting out of that thing, I went, that's it. I sold all my Gibsons. Then I heard Roy Buchanan live, and I went and bought a Telly, and now I got a Telly and a Strat on stage. The Telly is actually my main dog now.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't musicians, guitarists tend to go one or the other? They have a favorite. Like I know some who are just like, all they play is a Telly. Like a Telly is your main.
The Telly is the one,
Axe.
it's Golf Saver, my Shot Saver club. I can pull the Telly out and do anything with it, right? And the Strat has that whole different array of like sparkly, spanky sounds that you can't really get out of a Telly.
Yeah.
You can get close, but not quite. Now, I do have some other guitars, and what I've discovered is stuff jumps out of these guitars, and it has to be played on that guitar for it to sound right.
Yeah, really.
I was messing around earlier with some stuff that I was playing on my Gretsch. I'm like, yeah, but not quite. You know what I mean? So,
And the interface with the amp is important too.
well, absolutely.
We have a whole
it's-
other conversation about
A
amps.
friend of mine wrote a great book about that, exactly, the other half of rock and roll, guitar amps. Absolutely, man, it's an instrument just as much as the guitar or whatever else you put in it.
Yeah. Chuck Hall, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
It was really a pleasure to hear you play that thing. You make it talk.
Oh,
So,
I don't know. He was kind of
yeah.
talking back to me, but
Oh, they do. Yeah, thanks so much.
well, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very
Yeah.
welcome. So, hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of Vintage Guitar Legacies. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more episodes. We'll see you next time.